Looking over my shoulder at the car of A.J. Foyt. He is being taken from his car, placed on a stretcher. We'll be back with more superstars, but right now, a report from Daytona, Jim McKay.
Frank, as I speak to you live, that's America's most famous race driver being put on a stretcher at the Daytona International Speedway. A.J. Foyt, spinning in back of another spin by Benny Parsons, left the racetrack, and in that mud and wet and slime, his car flipped, went over on its roof, back on all four wheels. He has just been removed from the automobile. Now, this was Cale Yarborough trailing Benny Parsons in the lead. Benny Parsons in the lead, and A.J., who had been lapped, was in that pack nonetheless. Let's take a look now and see what happened. They came to the start-finish line. It's going to be coming up right now, Jackie.
And the tire explodes on Benny Parsons' car. Benny Parsons' car spins. He goes right into the infield, spinning all the way down the infield. Then behind, you can see that car now just out of our picture with A.J. Foyt, and the car was upside down. In that muck you see there, we're still looking at Benny Parsons' car. The tire blew, and there's A.J. Foyt's car coming to a rest. Before you see this car, right now, the car had overturned, as you can see, by the wreckage of the motor car. The mud here, the mud was such a... And here we see slow-mo again. In the car, in this tri-oval at Daytona, the car, second in your screen as it went through there, was the car of Benny Parsons. Suddenly, pieces started to fly off the car, and there they come now. The pieces of the tire, obviously a blowout. The tire flew apart. Benny Parsons kept control for a short while. Then he suddenly began to lose the car. The two cars behind him got through without incidents at all. Then he was spinning into the racetrack. The mud in this racetrack, a lot of rain. It could easily cause a car to spin and go upside down. But there is A.J. Foyt being taken away by ambulance, Jim.
Yes, Jackie, and I think we might point out we have no idea whether Foyt is conscious or unconscious at this point. He was definitely lifted onto the stretcher, appeared to be rather limp. This is Benny Parsons in car number 72, rather remarkably, back in action, getting back on the racetrack again. But A.J. Foyt has been removed by ambulance from the racetrack after his car flipped, went on its roof, came back on all four wheels again. A.J., a visitor in this kind of racing, remember, is the four-time winner of Indianapolis, the only man ever to achieve that feat. A.J., well into his 40s now, said that he was going to be more active this season than ever before. And, well, he may, because, as I say, he may be only stunned, he may not be injured, but at this point, we really have no idea what happened to him precisely, going at a speed of 190 miles an hour at the end of the straightaway, when suddenly Benny Parsons' tire blew in front of him. In the race, the standings as they given to us, you're looking down from the Goodyear Blimp Mayflower there, is Bobby Allison in the leader. It seemed just a few minutes ago that he was in 7th place, having moved up from 33rd place on the start. In 2nd place is Buddy Baker, who was in 31st place on the start. In 3rd place is Cale Yarborough, who sat on the pole when the race began. In 4th place now, Ron Hutcherson. Ron Hutcherson was on the outside of the first row. And in 5th place now, suddenly out of nowhere, car number 54, Lenny Pond. However, there are only 3 cars on the same lap. That is Buddy Baker, Bobby Allison, and Cale Yarborough.
Well, it's going to be a very eventful 500 for the remainder of this race, but how eventful it's been so far, with all of the leaders having trouble, with very many of the big names having trouble, with people like Richard Petty and David Pearson and Darrell Waltrip having accidents, and then for A.J. Foyt to have an accident. There's been all sorts of trouble. Super fast speedway.
All right, well, Jackie, Chris Economaki is having a very busy time in the pits right now, trying to check on the condition of some of the most famous race drivers in the world who have been involved in these accidents here. On the condition of Richard Petty, who was stunned, knocked out 2 days ago in an accident, and has been knocked out of the race again. We'll get the condition of him and Pearson and Waltrip and A.J. Foyt. Right now, back against the superstars.
There's Richard Petty, Darrell Waltrip, and David Pearson. Petty crashed into the wall and was rammed by Waltrip and then by Pearson. Petty's car's out of the race. Pearson's car's out of the race. Waltrip's car's in the garage here being worked on. It is hoped he'll be able to return, but he'll be very slow. And then, moments after, 4-time Indianapolis winner A.J. Foyt and Benny Parsons tangled on the backstretch. Foyt's car went over several times in a wild and spectacular accident. He was removed to the field hospital here in a semi-conscious state. The doctors now say that he is conscious and talking, but as he was being carried in the hospital, they were holding his left arm and hand, and it looks as though he may have a shoulder injury. So A.J. Foyt is in the track hospital here at the Daytona International Speedway now. Richard Petty, who crashed on Friday, is out of the race. David Pearson is out of the race, and Waltrip is trying to get back in. Chris Economaki at Daytona, back to Superstar.
A day of most exciting motor racing, punctuated by sudden incident continues at Daytona in the great 500-mile race. The leader at the moment is Cale Yarborough, followed by Buddy Baker and Bobby Allison. Only those three are on the same lap in the race. Out of the race, and just at this moment, being taken into Halifax Hospital, is the great A.J. Foyt, four-time winner of Indianapolis. His car flipped in one of those incidents. He was taken to the field hospital where we are told he was having trouble with his shoulder. He is talking but confused. That was an informal report we got. There is Halifax Hospital, into which A.J. Foyt is being taken right now. We'll get a further report as soon as we can. Live coverage begins at 3 Eastern. Back to Superstars.